So, you are looking for a SIM card in Botswana. That may be because you are traveling to Botswana, or you are already living in Botswana and you're just thinking of getting your first SIM card or switching operators. Well, luckily for you, I have this guide going to 10 things you need to know about buying a SIM card in Botswana. And even though you may be a local of Botswana, you will probably learn some stuff here as well. So let's just get started, shall we? Hi! It's Odu from Phone Travelers, where we talk about everything related to traveling with your phone, let it be from local SIM cards, international SIM cards, phone travel tips, everything related to traveling with your phone. If that sounds interesting, make sure to subscribe to this channel. You won't regret it. I promise you that. So in today's video, we'll be talking about everything you need to know about buying a SIM card in Botswana. I will talk to you about the foundations, like the operators in Botswana, in case you are not from Botswana. I will tell you which SIM card is the best from an objective perspective and the type of packages offered by the Botswanan operators. And in between, I will also talk about some other stuff that will be related to getting a SIM card in Botswana or just traveling throughout Botswana in general. So let's just start with number one, which is the operators in Botswana. In Botswana, we have three operators. We have Mascom Wireless, mainly referred to as Mascom. We have Orange Botswana, just Orange, and BTC. And on top of my head, I cannot really think what BTC stands for, but it's on the screen down here. So those are your three options. Well, number two, where can you actually get yourself a SIM card in Botswana? If you go to any of these official stores, so it could be a Mascom store or BTC store, you can get your SIM card there. And all these operators, they sell the SIM cards for 10 BWP, which stands for Botswana Pula. I might also say Pula in between in this video. They are the same actually. So one isn't necessarily cheaper than the other, but package wise, it is, but that's for a little bit later. But before we do so, we have to talk about SIM card regulation laws in Botswana. If you have been to other places in Africa, or if you live in any other nation in Africa, or actually most places in the world actually, you have to register your passport details when buying a SIM card. And the same applies to Botswana as well. So make sure to bring your passport with you when you buy a SIM card in Botswana, or your local ID if you are a local resident. Without that, they cannot sell you your SIM card. And whenever I mention it, I also talk about VPNs, because some people are very privacy conscious and they wonder, well, should I use a VPN when I am in Botswana? Well, for those who are not really aware what the VPN stands for, a VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, and what the VPN does, in short, it encrypts your internet traffic. So let's say if you are trying to connect to a random website, let's say you're trying to connect to Mascom Wireless, for example, that's one of the operators here. If you would go to that website, the Mascom Wireless, in the logs, they would see that this IP connected to this website. If you are connected to a VPN, however, what they would see is that, well, a random IP address, which is in this case from the VPN provider, connected to the website, and the telecom operator or the ISP, they also only see that you are connected to this particular IP without seeing all the other websites you have visited. So in this way, you can somewhat hide your internet traffic. There are many other ways to actually properly be very anonymous online, but that's for another video. So should you get a VPN in Botswana? Well, I would say actually yes, to actually every place you go. It's mainly just for security as well. Internet censorship is not super prevalent in Botswana compared to other African nations, but because your SIM card is linked to your passport details, and let's say you are doing some things the government may not like, they may actually be able to see what exactly you have been doing. And with the VPN, it will be hard to almost impossible for them to do so. And if you actually want to get a VPN subscription or learn more about VPNs, I would recommend NordVPN, which I've been using for like 3 years now, maybe even 4 years, no, 3.5 years now, I think, yes. And if you go to phonetravelers.com/go/NordVPN, you can learn more about the subscription, and right now they have a promotion going on that you can get 70% off your subscription, so that's awesome. And just as a disclaimer, the products that I recommend in this video, I'm an affiliate for them, meaning that if you decide to get a subscription or a particular product, I get a small commission for them for being an affiliate, and it's at no additional cost at you. It just helps with the channel and the site, phonetravelers.com. So thank you for that. And if you decide to use NordVPN, the closest server is South Africa, because NordVPN doesn't have service in Botswana. Because of that, your speeds will be a bit slower than not using a VPN at all. But since South Africa is relatively close to Botswana, it should be on. Okay, number 5, the best SIM card in Botswana. We have now done all the foundation stuff, we now know the basics. Now it's time to know which SIM card you should actually go for. In general, I would recommend Mascom. They are the largest operator and they also have the best coverage throughout Botswana. I'll talk about coverage in Botswana a bit later because it's a bit unique compared to some other African nations. But in general, Mascom is the best. And if we compare it to Orange, Mascom is even cheaper than Orange for some reason. But let's say if you're just on a budget and you just want to get the cheapest of the cheapest, then I would recommend BTC or BTC Mobile, but be aware that they are only good in populated areas. Anywhere outside of that, and well, your experience with BTC will be very sad. So if you're exploring Botswana and going to less populated areas, consider Mascom. If you just want to save money and you're staying in, let's say, the capital or very populated places, you can also consider BTC because on average they are the cheapest in Botswana. Okay, number 6, should you actually use an international SIM card when in Botswana? Some people prefer to just not get local SIM cards, mainly because, well, then they have to switch numbers, they have to register themselves in each country they go to. It can be time consuming for those who visit a lot of countries in a short amount of time, especially business travelers or people traveling for diplomatic reasons. Those people, you could either roam with your provider, which I will talk about later, but in most cases that's super expensive, or you can get an international SIM card. In most cases, international SIM cards are more expensive than local SIM cards, but there are some that offer good rates, but a lot of them offer such extraordinary expensive rates that it should be criminal. But there's one international SIM card provider, particular for Botswana, that I would recommend, which is Surfroam. If you have watched many of my other videos, then you know that I'm a really big fan of Surfroam, and that's because I use it a lot. For each destination I go to, I bring my Surfroam SIM card with me, because in most cases buying a SIM card at the airport is a no-go, because they will charge you a very high premium, because that's what they do. So I first have to go to the destination I'm visiting, which could be close, or take like a 2-hour train ride, bus ride or car ride before I can get a SIM card, and in the meantime I still want to be connected, and that's when I use my Surfroam SIM card. The base rates start at €1 which translates to a little bit more than €10 per gigabyte, or €10.24 to be exact, because 1 gigabyte has 1024 megabytes, and it's just an affordable way to stay connected just before I can get my local SIM card. And in the case of Botswana, you will just pay 1 cent per megabyte, so it's quite affordable. If you want to learn more about Surfroam, make sure to go to phonetwist.com/go/surfroam, or just check the description down below or the pinned comment in case you don't want to type out this URL yourself. Okay, so now let's go back to SIM cards in Botswana. Mobile data rates. They are actually on the more expensive end when looking at Africa in general. The Alliance of Affordable Internet, also referred to as A4AI, sometimes I have to think about that one. They do research about internet affordability in various regions in the world. So Africa, I think Latin America as well, Caribbean and Asia. They found that on average, 1 gigabyte of data will cost you $6.45 per gigabyte in Africa. When looking at Southern Africa, so Southern Africa as a region, so not just South Africa as a country, then the average is $8.25 per gigabyte for 1 gigabyte. Now, the average price of 1 gigabyte of data in Botswana is $8.85 per 1 gigabyte of data. So that's on the more expensive end. Sure, it doesn't break the bank, but you know, it's still on the expensive end. In fact, it's the 9th most expensive country to buy 1 gigabyte of data in Africa. And cable.co.uk, or just cable, I'm not sure how they refer to themselves actually, they also check the mobile data prices around the world, like the full world, whereas in the Alliance of Affordable Internet, they just look at places where internet is expensive. They found that the world average price is 4.30, something like that. The correct price is down on the screen. So Botswana is double the world average. So that shows you that mobile data is expensive in Botswana, but it's still, you know, doable. I think if you would look at it from the average monthly income, they would only spend like 1 or 2% of their monthly income on 1 gigabyte of data, because the African average is like 7 point something of your monthly income for just 1 gigabyte of data. So although mobile data rates, they sound expensive in Botswana when compared to other African nations, when looking at it from a Botswanan national income, it's cheap, like very cheap. I think one of the cheapest in Africa. Okay, number 8, I talked about coverage earlier. Now on the screen you will see the coverage map of each of these operators, a little bit zoomed out. This is provided by Speedtest. And you will see that large parts of the country has no coverage by any of the operators, which is correct. The operators, they only focus on populated areas because, well, large parts of Botswana is forest or desert or nothing. So there's no point in putting antennas there because, well, nobody lives there, nobody goes, or not nobody goes there, but there's no financial benefit for them to set it up. So if you're staying in populated areas, coverage will be fine, but as soon as you know, going off the beaten track and going to explore real rural Botswana, then expect no coverage at all, meaning that also not even 2G coverage, meaning no calls, no SMS, and certainly no internet, because 2G internet is very slow. So that's to be something to be aware of, and it's kind of bad compared to other African nations. Some of them also have the same situation, but it's kind of more prominent in Botswana. Just be aware of that. Okay, number 9. Prepaid packages offered in Botswana. Well, in these videos what I do is I will only show you packages, regardless if they are combo plans or data only plans, that come with at least 1 GB of data or 1000 megabytes, just, you know, to include that as well, all the way up to 5 GB of data, because if I show them all, then people get bored. Done it in the past, people really got bored. So then you get this table. If you're on the mobile device and you think, well, I cannot read this, well, we're not, I will zoom in when I focus on each operator, so then you can actually see what is going on. But at first glance, you will see that a lot of packages are offered by the Botswana operators, which is nice. In total, I think each operator offers at least 5 different types of plans, which are combo plans or data only plans. So there's a lot of choice in Botswana, which makes it exciting for those people who want to get the exact plan that they actually need. But let's just focus on each operator first, and let's look what Mascom has to offer. So with Mascom, we have 3 different types of bundles. We have the My Combo, which are combo plans, My Mix, which sounds like a combo because mix, but it's data only, and My Mag Prepaid, which is a long-term data only plan. You will see just, well, the data, of course. Some of them come with local minutes, some local SMS for the combo plans and the validity, and the data only ones is just data. It all makes sense. When you look at Orange, you will see that 4 different types of plans meet these requirements. We have Ola, All My Internet, All My Internet Plus, and Mega Bundles. And if you are interested in learning like the specifics of each of these plans or all the plans offered by these operators, make sure to go to phonetwist.com/Botswana-guide, and you will see a very in-depth stuff of all these packages, and then you will understand why I didn't include all of them, because that list, you know, I'm not even sure how it would look on camera, but the table would be too big. But the Ona one is a combo plan, comes with minutes, international minutes as well with no restrictions, and SMS, whereas all the other ones are just data only ones. And BTC, we have 2 plans that meet these requirements. The Force and Data bundle, which is a combo one, and only one of them came with 1 GB of data or more. You get local minutes and limited on-net SMS. And the Turn Up bundles, which are the data only bundles, well, just data. So that's how it looks. Okay, number 10, which is the last one and which is mainly focused for travelers visiting Botswana, is if you should roam in Botswana. Well, in general, I don't really recommend roaming because roaming is very expensive, and you've probably read many headlines of people getting like, you know, a roaming bill of 1,000, 10,000 USD or stuff like that. Well, there's a reason for that, and if you want to know the full reason, you can watch this video up there. But the thing is, roaming is the most convenient way to stay connected because you don't have to switch SIM cards. You still have your same phone number so people can still reach you, and it's just convenient. Whereas if you keep switching SIM cards, then you have different numbers. You have to register in most places, and you know, it can be time consuming in general. So that's why roaming can be an alternative. In the case of Botswana, maybe some of the neighboring countries have reasonable rates. There are no operator that comes on top of my mind, but maybe South Africa, Lesotho, Eswatini, previously known as Swaziland, Madagascar, they may have reasonable roaming rates for Botswana, but you can try and find out if you go to my site phonetwist.com/roaming-provider, because I've written many guides of operators around the world, maybe of yours as well. And then you can find out, well, the roaming rates for Botswana, or if they have a particular package for roaming in Botswana or other African nations. If not, just go to the operator website and they will have a particular tag with roaming, and just calculate, well, how much do I use and how much will it cost me. But in almost most cases, and yes, I have to say almost most cases, because there may be like 1 or 2 operators like somewhere in the world that may have lower rates than what Botswana has to offer, but it's very unlikely. So you're better off getting yourself a Botswana SIM card from Mascom, Orange or BTC Mobile. Well, that's it for today, your 10 things you need to know about buying a SIM card in Botswana. If you learned something new, make sure to click the like button and comment down below which SIM card you're gonna try when you are going to Botswana. Is it gonna be Mascom or Orange or BTC? Comment down below and let us know why. If you have been to Botswana before, or if you're living in Botswana, comment down below what your experiences are with your operator. I would really like to know. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to subscribe. I talk about local SIM cards all the time, but I also talk about international SIM cards. I will give you phone travel tips, mobile hotspots, roaming with your provider, just everything related to traveling with your phone. And if you subscribe, as mentioned earlier, you won't regret it. At least I hope. If you're planning on going to other places in Southern Africa, make sure to check this playlist of local SIM card buying guides in other African nations. And that's it for today. I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.